A massive metropolitan grid doesn't just operate by accident. It is governed by a strict, underlying mechanical logic. This is Los Angeles, mapped as a closed-circuit system. 5 independent teams, 9 isolated locations, chained together by a single string of logic gates. We are bypassing the characters and the plot to focus strictly on the hardware, the physical objects, architectural constraints, and mechanical triggers that route players from one node to the next. The system requires a central processor. Node 0 is game control, a residential apartment converted into an analog panopticon using a physical wall map and a bank of CRT relays. The primary operational hazard to this specific node is acoustic. The physical presence of a landlord 1 floor down acts as a hard failure state. Excessive noise instantly shuts the entire board down. The foundation of the board relies on funneling massive amounts of chaotic, citywide data into a single, highly vulnerable control room. The first geographic node sits above the grid at the Griffith Observatory. The initial cipher relies on linguistic misdirection. The C reversed becomes "see-the." Stripping the I from an anagram of SS Atari leaves stars, outputting the instruction to see the stars. 4 teams interpret this conceptually, hunting for Hollywood celebrities on the Walk of Fame. Only one team treats the phrase as mechanical instructions for the site's equipment. They apply the provided azimuth coordinates to the exterior coin-operated telescopes. These numbers force the heavy cast-iron barrel to tilt downward, inverting its standard purpose. This downward angle turns an instrument built for astronomy into a targeted spotting scope, locked onto an illuminated bank sign positioned miles across the valley. That sign leads to Node 2, the Los Angeles Piano Museum, where players must convert a visual input into an audio output. This is the exact sequence found on a tabletop upright: A, B, A, G, F, E, F, E, E. Playing these keys on the instrument outputs the commercial jingle for Pabst Blue Ribbon, providing the physical address for the next location. Early game progression relies on subverting the intended use of civic tools to extract hidden geographic routing. The board shifts to industrial zones, routing teams to the loading floor of a commercial brewery. Here, the system abandons hidden envelopes. The literal commercial packaging of the product acts as the cipher substrate. Node 4, a Googie-style roadside diner, obscures its data behind anatomical misdirection and requires a high-volume input of physical chaos to unlock. The trigger is kinetic. Players crowding the tight aisles force a collision with a server, dropping a loaded tray in the process. The impact of that collision is required to dislodge a pendant necklace hidden in the server's uniform, exposing the next set of instructions. Rearranging the anagram on the pendant, "Hug Me," identifies a specific visual landmark, the huge M marking the next gate. Node 5 is a synthetic, sprawling miniature golf course. The game rules prohibit skipping ahead. This ensures a forced traversal, where players must interact with the environment sequentially to reach the final gate. The logic relies on mechanical weight at hole 14. The exact mass of a putted golf ball crossing a trigger point trips a physical counterweight. The shifting architecture of the drawbridge exposes painted text hidden on its underside, yielding the next directive. Momentum, mass, and kinetic energy act as the specific inputs required to force the environment to yield data. As the night progresses, the puzzle footprint scales up to the massive public transit infrastructure of Los Angeles International Airport. Players are fed the string 5:30 a.m. It operates as a technical trap, masquerading as a time constraint while actually acting as an AM radio frequency. Game control uses that frequency to hijack the airport's public broadcast loop, intersecting the teams and routing them to a specific bank of colored storage lockers. This visual equation represents the phonetic components of the rebus found inside: a ball, the letter E, a pin, and a seated man. These components solve into the name of the next destination, Pinball City. Pinball City introduces profound sensory overload, a dark environment packed with the noise and glare of glowing 1979-era arcade cabinets. An automaton routes players to one specific piece of hardware, a Starfire cabinet that has been subjected to commercial software manipulation. The machine's code has been rewritten. Beating the game overrides the standard high score screen, forcing the CRT to display the coordinates of the finish line. Advanced routing is achieved by parasitically attaching to existing public frequencies and commercial digital networks. The terminus is the Westin Bonaventure Hotel. The architecture here is defined by 5 cylindrical mirrored glass towers. Players are directed onto the express elevator pods that scale the exterior skin of the high-rise against the night sky. The mechanism here is an optical vantage point. What looks like a random scattering of pool chairs only resolves into the macro typography, room 2704, when viewed from extreme altitude. But the hotel's design creates a paradox. The exterior express elevators that provide the visual answer physically bypass all the interior guest floors. To reach the coordinates, players must return to the lobby, transfer to the interior core, and traverse the emergency stairwells on foot to reach an undersized terminus room. The final gate uses the building's rigid structural rules against the players, forcing physical exhaustion at the end of the circuit. When the sequence is complete, all 9 nodes activate sequentially to form a single, unified circuit across the city. We have tracked mass triggers, subverted affordances, hijacked frequencies, and macro typography. The 1980 framework succeeds by treating the entire city of Los Angeles not as a backdrop, but as a fully functioning mechanical machine.